So as you can see, we've got a new fender in design here. This is basically Bondo. This will not be what we're running. I'm building a plug, which a mold will be pulled from in order to build the carbon fiber parts. I've got about 30 hours into this, which has been pretty tedious to say the least, but it's turned out pretty good so far. And the reasoning for doing this instead of the old sheet metal is obviously looks, and there's going to be some pretty good aero benefits as well. So deleted the blinker light because we don't need it and they flop around anyway. Next up is the vents, extractions. Those will be cut out on the rear sides. And then finally is the actual exit of the fender, which as you can see, I've detailed some nice chamfers, fillets, whatever you want to call it. So from here, this needs flanges all around, which you can see I've started on the flanges. It needs flanges all around as well as finish polishing. So at this point, we get to do this side, which as you can see is quite a bit different. And I have to try to make them match somewhat. On top of that, there will be some pretty extensive air dam treatments. As you can see, it flows through all the way back there. And basically, the Enviate program does the exact same thing. So, you can see it flows all the way through the whole wheel and suspension and everything. So, we're going to open that right up since we're using a wing here and be able to add some additional elements and increase overall efficiency and downforce. Obviously it's messy in here because there's nothing clean about any of this work. So step one is to get tape down. I'm doing this for a few different reasons. I don't have to. I could just make the fenders the actual plug, but the other reason is in case we run out of time and we have to reuse these fenders before good life, which is end of May. So with the tape down, I can break everything off and the fenders will still be there and not really damaged. So key feature here is we have the central line of the wheel. You can see it marked. That's going to be used to place the foam arch, which I'll show you next. Some of my avid followers might recognize this as a wheel arch from the Enviate plug, which the Enviate uses the same size tire as Beastie hatch. So I cut it off the major plug that we had in storage. Now I'm using it to build the arch, which the whole fender is based off of. And it's just styrofoam. Use this to get through the bigger cuts, and then I'll use another tool to do the shaping. There we go. It's a generic shape, and now we'll see how it fits on the fender. Lots of trimming from here. As you can see, I'm getting there. Quite a bit of foam. Looks like it exploded, but just about 10 minutes of rough cutting and I've got it pretty close. So I'm just comparing side to side, roughly an inch above the fender, above the hood, which to answer any potential questions later, whenever we do the hood, we will continue the fender flare up into the hood just for looks reasons. But the hood is probably going to be last because next we're going to be doing the air dam. But anyway, yep. So from here, we just start cutting and sliding it in. That's got to slide in enough to be flush with the hood opening, so just go slow so we don't have to fill any big gaps. Looks like Christmas over here, but we've got the foam pretty much roughed in. Obviously I'm trying to match left to right, and I think my steel fenders were not square, which isn't surprising, but there you go. Got a little ahead of myself and got some Bondo down to seal the foam. I placed the foam in the correct spot. You can see all my marks. Got it spaced out appropriately and slapped a bunch of Bondo down. So now I'm simply shaping the overall shape of the fender so it matches the other side. So far, it's as close as I can measure to matching, so this is good news. So at this point, I just knock all the high spots down, apply more Bondo, rinse and repeat until I get the shape and the thickness I want. So I've got both fenders matching, a whole lot of sanding, a whole lot of Bondo. Now I'm beginning to do the flanges for the mold, which do not have to be that fancy. In this case, it has to be just solid enough to hold fiberglass and resin, in which case duct tape and vibrant boxes. These boxes are used everywhere in my shop for CAD, which is cardboard assisted design. In any case, yeah, so from here, like around the wheel well here, I'm gonna slap a little bit of Bondo in there. I decided to have the wheel arch a little bigger than what I initially did, just in case I needed to cover some wheel gap. So it's better to have a little bit excess and then you trim to fit based on whatever. So I'll smooth that in real quick. It's not gonna be real fancy, but, and then from here, we're gonna lay the mold. So one of the last steps is filling the bolt holes with modeling clay. Basically just to seal it so resin doesn't get in behind it and bond itself to the fender. As you can see, I've added a little bit of Bondo to blend the flanges and the wheel lip. So I'll hit that with a sander, do a final sand of the whole part, and then from there it's mold release and we start going. So I've got part all waxed down, waxed off, and now we're down to PVA. It's the last step before we start laying down some fiberglass. Coating one. We'll always start with the lighter one. I think the surface is pretty flat. I'm going to have to touch up a little bit in the mold, but that's fine. The mold will be a lot more stiff than cardboard and Bondo. So, but the most important thing is we've got the shape I wanted, and it's pretty flat. And on this side, got to fill in a couple more voids. And then this one will mold as soon as the other one's done. Since it's boring watching a paintbrush, I just painted on the tool gel. Basically gives it a hard coating inside the mold, that way you can polish it and whatnot. It turned out pretty well, pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. So we'll let it cure a little bit. And then from there we lay the glass on top, which I'm only going to cover a little bit of because, again, it's boring as heck watching a paintbrush. After several hours, I've got all the mold laid down. A lot of layers, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 layers. Chop strand. Pretty simple stuff. I use rollers when I can, it's just more efficient. That's all you do, arts and crafts. A little bit of skill development and you can build a race car with a kindergarten skill level. And there we go. Tomorrow we pop the mold off the plug and there will be some finish work. As you saw earlier in the video that there's a couple of flaws. Probably half hour worth of sanding and then we can start making a part right out of that. This is going to be a gorgeous part. Perfect mold. Started infusing. It's a lot of fun to get this bag down because it's really hard to get. These vents I knew were going to be a lot of fun, quote unquote. So it's the last step. We get the part infused and then cook it and then pop it out. Should have it out in a couple hours here. Here it is after the mold. Turned out pretty darn good, in my opinion. It's raw carbon. If we did any kind of clear coat on it whatsoever, it would pop out times 10. So maybe that's what we'll have to do. And I have 75 hours into this fender as well as the other plug. So it gives you an idea of how long it takes to build a quality part like this. So I've set up a little demonstration with the fender vents and why we've gone through all the hassle to get them integrated. I've got my dyno fan here. It's, I don't know, 30, 40 miles an hour, not a whole lot of wind. You can see that little piece of peel ply that was stuck to the underside of the vent that I still have to get out. See pretty clearly it's really moving on out. So is the one behind it. So I'm gonna trim these vents up a little nicer. These are just done with crude tools, but you can get a view of the total apparatus. There's the fender mounted, and also get a more of an idea of the total extraction volume on this thing. So we're going to be cutting out the bumper cover there to try to pump more air through over the top of the wing, and then you can see the extractor set up here. Any air that goes in there is just going to get sucked right out the back here. So you guys have a visual of the whole fender layout from up top. So you can see there's quite a bit of volume getting sucked out of these vents. And they're needed. And obviously I've crafted the rear exit here. Funny enough, I'm getting breeze all the way up here, and I'm well above the roof level. So it's already kicking wind pretty hardcore up. Coincidentally, right into the rear wing path. So it's like I did that on purpose or something.